What's going on, y'all? Thanks for checking in with Callie. Please like, subscribe if you haven't. So, in spite of the Clippers not having Kawhi or PG last night versus the Milwaukee Bucks, they did really good. They did a lot better than I thought they would. I actually was kind of surprised by what I saw a little bit because of the distribution of scoring amongst different players. I like the fact they gave Brandon Boston some minutes. They didn't give him much. That's one of my young boys on the team that I actually really think that has a promising future that I think they don't showcase enough. And I understand there's so many other players ahead of him and things of that nature, but I still think he should get a little bit more time because he's been there longer than some of the newcomers, like PJ Tucker or Bones Highland, which I still think they should give. Bones definitely needs minutes too, in which he's getting them now and stuff like that because of Russ not being there. But still, I think they need to find a way to implement Brandon Boston a lot. Shout out to him too for the poster that he put on Giannis. I thought that was, I like that. You know what I'm saying? It shows his, he got some tenacity, some grit about him, and it shows that he got a little bit of dog in him. So I definitely love to see that in a young player, and hopefully he grows a whole lot more. Through more playing time rather than just being on the bench and in practice, playing with, Kawhi and PG and them, because he's been there a while. So I definitely think, when his opportunity comes, he'll be ready for it. But other than that, I think, like I said, the Clippers had like several people in double figures. Honestly, if the Clippers would have got, I'd say 20 to 22 points somewhere along them lines out of James Harden, instead of him going 5 for 16, I think they possibly could have won the game. I mean, it just shows, based upon without Kawhi and PG, it still shows how much depth they have. Like, I mean, they played the Bucks about as good as you would think they could, without two of their best players and really three of their best players when you include Russell Westbrook. And, they played really good, and I think if you look at how that game played out, it might not have, panned out, of course, the way we would have liked it to by them getting the victory. But I mean, like I said, if James Harden scores somewhere in the 20s, that's a whole different game. They lost by 7. James Harden scored 13 and he had like 11 assists or whatever. But if he has 22 points and 11 assists and about 8 rebounds, give or take, something like that, I mean, we might be really be talking about a whole different conversation. And right now, if you look at the Clippers schedule, these games are really, really tough for them. They really are. I mean, the schedulers, I remember at the beginning of the season, we talked about, their schedule being difficult, their back-to-backs and things like that. Well, it's really starting to show now because their back-to-backs is leading into teams that are like, colossal, teams that are good. And I think they got the Timberwolves coming up here soon, I believe. I think it's tomorrow. So I mean, they're really in a dogfight, and hopefully they can get some crucial wins down the stretch here, which I believe they will. But I'm just saying, like, if you look at their schedule and the back-to-backs they have and everything, I don't discredit the fact that Ty Lue took out Kawhi and PG and let them rest at least a night before they go into a bigger battle against, a division rival, in the Timberwolves in regards to the Western Conference. So, I mean, that's definitely huge. But I mean, regardless, like I said, I like what I saw from them. Norman Powell had 26 points. I'm not surprised by that. Norman Powell is definitely one of those guys who can drop 25 points a game if he really is given the opportunity. Easy. He's just a walking bucket. And the fact that, Giannis had 35 and I think Damian Lillard had like 34 points, the Clippers really held their own. And I like it shows all the talent they have on this team. It really does. So, I mean, this in the playoffs, Ty Lue really doesn't have to go to a 7-8 man rotation. He really doesn't have to do that. Like, I mean, he can pretty much, open the floor up to pretty much, anybody on that roster because they have those type pieces that can go out there and just, get buckets. And, when you get into the playoffs, of course, it's always, the game is a half court game. It's all about, your strategy and how good it is and how many defensive plays you can make to give your team the better opportunity to win. But at the same time, if you got guys you could just plug in that can come in and give you good numbers and give you good production and you trust them as a coach, I mean, that shows how much depth this team has. And, games like this really shows how much depth the Clippers have, especially when you don't see Kawhi and or PG on the floor. So, I mean, I personally think if one of them was there, Kawhi or PG, I think they would have won this game, honestly. But in the same breath, I think that they got to find a way to get more out of James Harden. Even if James Harden scores like 17 to 19 points a game, like you heard me say a few days ago, it needs to be consistent and it needs to be a little bit more efficient. And that's the thing. And that's what separates Kawhi Leonard from everybody else on the team, especially all the superstars, the stars on the team, because all the other stars on the team are really good, but the efficiency in shooting and selective shots and, non-wasted movements, non-wasted possessions and things like that. That's what wins championships. And Kawhi knows that. He knows it a lot because he comes from San Antonio. With him being born in San Antonio in his NBA career, he definitely learned a lot being there with Popovich. He learned a lot from Kobe. When Kobe was alive, God rest his soul, he learned a lot just individually as a player and as a team player. So, I mean, it's like these other guys, they're going to have to figure out how to be more effective in spots where they're really needed. Because if this team is really going to win a championship, they can't have games where James Harden's going 5 for 17 and 5 for 20 and having 15 points. But he might go 5 for 20. He might have a triple double. But if he goes 5 for 20, it kind of offsets the triple double. You see what I'm saying? It doesn't really help. So it's like, it can't really be that. And not unless Kawhi is going to drop like 35, 40 every game. And, when how that turned out a couple years ago, he flamed out, when they played against Denver, because he was putting up those big numbers every single game because everybody else was just like half-ass playing and watching him do his thing. And they really weren't contributing in the big moments like that. And that's what got them beat. And they don't want to have to go through that again. So they definitely need a little bit more efficiency and consistency from others on the team. And I think they can get that. I mean, or at least I hope they do, because if they don't, well, like I said before, it might be another embarrassing situation, and hopefully that's not the case.